All right, thanks everybody for joining us for the Business Intelligence 101 overview. So we're going to take a look at just a couple of quick slides to really position business intelligence and how it's important to you and your association. We'll get into a couple of actual real-world case studies of one of our clients that's using Member Suite Insights to help their organization. All right, so the first thing that a lot of our customers are interested in is how insights can benefit their association, right? So there's benefits for every association. So some of the high-level ones here, I think ASAE really sums this up nicely over at the side here, is that ASAE said that associations are sitting on a ton of great data. So that gold mine of data that you're sitting on, it's valuable information, but how do you leverage that? How do you make that into meaningful strategic decisions that are going to help your association, right? And that's where business data and analytics comes in. So being able to take that information, turn it into strategic information that your team can easily understand to get to these value points. So being able to make those informed decisions, grow your dues and non-dues revenue, improving the efficiency across your business, and ultimately enhancing your member experience. All right, so those are the benefits. So it's everybody always asks, well then, why isn't everybody using business intelligence? Well, there's a good point for that. There's a good reason for that, in that over 70% of BI initiatives fail. They're challenging. They're very complex projects to take on. So at a high level, the challenges are staggering costs, right? So the cost could be over $300,000 just for the software licenses. And then you add in professional services, which are easily going to exceed over $1 million. So these costs are out of reach for many associations and the tools associated with them. Then also the complexity. So once you get all of these systems and servers and data warehouses up and running, the information is complex, right? So you need a platform that everybody can understand, keep your executives and your senior leadership team, your board, everybody on the same page. And that's not easy to do because everybody's speaking a different language. And lastly, the resource constraints. So once you get this information, you have everything translated into the requirements and the language that everybody needs to speak. Well, then you need to have your business leaders looking at this information on a regular basis, right? You need analytical resources and data scientists to make sure that this information stays relevant. And how do you maintain all of that information? All right, so Member Suite, our solution is delivered for you out of the box. So these challenges disappear when you say you want to use Member Suite Insights. We flip a switch and you are able to start leveraging all of your data that's coming from Member Suite directly into our data warehouse and business intelligence platform. All right, so I'm going to show a case study of what that looks like. So Snow and Ice Management Association was kind enough to give us access to some of their case studies and their data. And we're going to take a look at how they use that information to help their organization, especially as they're preparing for different events throughout the year. All right, so what we're going to see as part of their case studies is how they're able to easily communicate how they're doing at a glance for their events and the success of their events. All right, if they have any strategic decisions that they need to make and adjust that information on the fly, they can do that based on the information that they're receiving. And lastly, tracking the progress of the events to make sure that you're doing well compared to your goals and also your performance from the previous years. All right, and at the end of the demonstration, we'll cover some of the highlights and the differences between what is reporting and what is business intelligence. But I think it's helpful at first just to jump into a case study with Snow and Ice Management to really give you context as to what business intelligence looks like in action. And then we'll compare that against the reporting that's delivered with Member Suite reporting. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at insights. So I'm going to jump over to Member Suite very quickly. And you can see under my More screen here that I have a link to Insights. This is a single sign-on over to our Insights platform. And immediately I'm going to be brought to my dashboards. All right, so we're now in Insights. I'm able to see at a glance all the information that's important to me. So I'm looking at our membership overview dashboard. And at MemberSuite, we deliver a large number of dashboards for you out of the box. So we have them broken up by different categories. So you can see we have categories for members, engagement, events, and payments. And we have a large number of dashboards in these categories, right? So under the membership, I can have all the information that's important to me. These are the delivered dashboards from MemberSuite. If you would like to have custom dashboards or tweak these dashboards to meet your needs, you can certainly do that as well. All right, so the first thing here with my membership overview, I can see at a glance how we're performing against our key performance indicators. These are goals that you're going to set at your association to make sure that you're tracking to your objectives. So your senior leadership team might say, our new member count needs to be X. So we would set that in MemberSuite as your key performance indicator. There's no ambiguity as to what this report means and what this report metric means, this KPI means, because we're providing a description right here. So I can't tell you how many times I've seen great reports written, but then there's a question, how did you get that data? Did it include metric X, Y, or Z? Is that for last year, right? So this takes the ambiguity out of that and lets you answer that right up front, provide that information at a glance to your leadership team across these different KPIs. So I can see how we're doing for membership, how that affects our payments. Right now it looks good because everything's in the green. If I want to look at that, the first question you might get from your senior leadership team is, well, how do we do for our fiscal year? How do we do for a particular calendar year? So this report is very easy to answer those types of questions. We can simply move the slider here. I can look at this for a calendar year. If I want to adjust that for a fiscal year, I can easily do that. I don't need to write any SQL. I don't need to go back to a report developer to create another view of this dashboard to get me the right information. This is all within your hands. And now we can see for that particular period, for the calendar year of 2017, how we performed. Right, so my numbers were updated immediately to reflect that information. And then one of the questions you might get is, how did that affect certain membership types? And you can start drilling into this and define the different members that you would like to look at, the membership types, and start slicing and dicing this. This is a full analytical and business intelligence platform, so all of the options that you might want to do as far as looking at your data are certainly available to you. All right, so some of the things that I would like to show you is the event registration. So if I move over to some of our other dashboards here and I go over to events. All right, I have our event summary dashboard. So you're going to set a goal as far as what you would like to drive from attendance or revenue perspective for your different events and track how you are measuring to that goal, right? So you can set a trend line. How are we doing on a week-by-week basis? We can see that events have recently ticked up and our payments have increased, so we're doing good compared to the trend that we set for ourselves. All right, and if I want to look at how we're doing maybe compared to previous years, I can do that. I can have an event comparison. I can look at the different years that are important to me. So I'm just going to specify some different events here. All right, so let's look at the 21st annual symposium event. And we'll go back a couple of years here. So we'll compare several years worth of data. And notice that very easily I was able to pick and choose the information that was important to me. So this is the lens and the filter that I want to see my data through. This might be the lens and the filter that your executive team is asking you to answer questions for. So very easily I'm able to see this data for the past 3 years. If I wanted to go back more years, I can. So the data that you have stored in MemberSuite, even if you imported that as part of your implementation and you have 5 years worth of history, that information is going to automatically flow over to Insights. and provide you the information that you need, that historical information that you need to allow you to plan for your current and future events. All right, so I'm looking at this event registration. I can see the revenue. We're doing pretty good with that. I can see for the 21st annual event in blue here that we're doing good, right? So we're on a great trend line with that. But what I'm interested in is the number of people that have registered. So I want to compare this registration from a year-over-year perspective. So I can see the 19th annual in blue here. That was our best year yet, right? And then I look at the 20th annual Snow and Ice Symposium, and I can see that that wasn't as good as the year prior. So there's some factors that went into that. We can explore that. We can look at the engagement. We can look at location and all the event details and start gaining a better picture as to what is driving event registration. Right now, what I'm interested in is we've set a goal, right? So we wanted to outperform the 19th annual symposium, and we have some great performance there. I can see we started off on a great trajectory, but all of a sudden we're really just catching up with where we were on the 19th annual symposium. So what do I need to do to get ahead of that? This is where Snow and Ice Management is able to quickly adjust and identify that we need to drive attendance to this event. So what they're doing is they're using e-marketing to really communicate to their members and say, hey, our early bird pricing is going to end in a couple of weeks. I send them a link to register for the event and really drive up that membership. So we're going to see that event registration start to really exceed where they were even in the 19th annual event and drive up their revenue. All right, so that's a quick example of business intelligence in action, allowing you to look at all of your data with a lens and a filter that makes sense to you, what's important to you, especially from a strategic level, right? And so what's different about that? If I come back to our PowerPoint here, what's different about that compared to the reporting that's built into MemberSuite is reporting and transactional reporting, it's static. Think of looking at that information in a rearview mirror lens. So you're able to look at that information historically and see what happened, right? And so those are the reports that we have built in with MemberSuite. We have a library of reports that are there for you, and you can certainly add to that and build your own reports. But what if you wanted to set those goals and KPIs for yourself? What if you wanted to track that and be alerted to that information? How do you accomplish that with that analytical information? So that's where Insights comes in, and we will be adding forecasting and benchmarking information into Insights to really help you start predicting information into the future, such as where should your next event be held? When you're not receiving the event registrations that you expected, what options do you have? What options have worked in the past? And let's do some modeling to predict how they're going to work for you from a results and a financial perspective. All right, so as we were looking at those different dashboards and reports, I think it's important to note the different options you have with sharing this information. So we've covered that case example of event registrations. Something that the Snow and Ice Management Association shared with us is that they send these particular dashboards out to their executive director and their marketing and events manager on a weekly basis so that they can all be informed of what's going on. They can set KPIs on these. And so a way to share this information, there's many ways to share this information in Insights. So you can send them a link to this dashboard. When you send them a link, they would simply click on that and be brought to this particular page. They would need to have access to Insights to access that, for that link to provide them access. If they did not have access, you can certainly send that to them. You can send an email on a regular basis and send them an attachment. So if I want to send this information to a recipient, I can put, here's the notification. This will be the weekly event registrations. All right, so we're going to give that a name. We're going to send that to our CEO at association.org and all the recipients that you would want to put in there. You can give this a title. So right now we could give this, we could call it the event report. All right, so we're going to call this the event report, if I typed that correctly. Event report from Insights. All right, we can put information in here. We can set this on a schedule so that we know exactly when this person is going to be receiving it. So maybe every Monday at 9 a.m. we can track how the event registration is going. All right, so here's just a quick way that you might want to set up those different notifications. All right, if I wanted to export this and just have a PDF that I could share, put in my PowerPoint, put into an email and attach that and send that to somebody, you certainly can do that. All right, so there's multiple ways to make sure that your audience gets this information, and more importantly, that they stay on the same page with you, that everybody is speaking the same language as far as what are our goals for the year? How are we doing with that, right? And if there's any questions that they have, they can certainly come in here and get those answers. All right, so thank you very much for joining us for a very quick high-level overview of Business Intelligence 101.